104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. There's a new emphasis finally in football and sports as a whole for health, brain health in particular. Dr. Joseph Bryant Jr. joins us right now. And Doc, what are you bringing to the table? How are you helping these guys continue to play the game at a high level?
Well, shout out to New York, first of all, man, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for making time for us. I've seen you've been in high demand.
Man, I appreciate that. Well, my real emphasis is around mental development. I do a lot of psychological assessment of players, work with guys. Matter of fact, we started working with NFL players probably 6-7 years ago, and we were working with some neurologists and different physicians that were looking at some of the symptoms around concussion effects. And so what I do, my portion, is really to help mental development, help them to kind of think through not only the way they play, how they play, but make sure their mental acumen is sharp. And so it's really more for me about keeping guys, in a positive frame of mind. And for those who have never suffered concussions, those who are really just trying to make the most of their lives, I coach them into doing some mental exercise to think about their future. It's really about connecting the emotions with the brain, so that you can know how to, physique yourself through life without losing your mind and then getting a few hits to make it even worse. And so really mine is a lot of trying to do some preventive work with players before they get to the point where they really need a neurologist to go in and dig deep. I want to make sure their minds are straight and minds are good, they're thinking positive, and they're getting some future plans in place so they don't trip out after they retire.
So just thinking positive, I mean, it helps, but it's not. How do you do it? So thinking positive keeps things at a lower level, and then what is it? Quizzes? How does it keep me from developing early symptoms from CT and stuff like that?
That's a great question, and one of the things that people don't realize is that concussion, it's a brain bruise, and so anything that you have to do with your brain is affected by it. Okay. And so what happens with a concussion? If you get a concussion today, right, what's going to happen is even if you can play football, even if you can still tackle, even if you can still run, your ability to judge distance, your ability to think, process, and try to analyze things in a normative way becomes all challenged. So a lot of times when you talk about a concussion protocol, you're not just talking about whether or not guys can, function on the football field. You're really looking at beyond the football field. Are they able to walk easily? Are they able to process decisions in their home? The reason why we've had these unfortunate tragedies with a lot of guys with CTE symptoms is because the mind begins to play tricks on you, and you begin to assume things that aren't there. You begin to think about things that aren't real. You begin to have hallucinations. You begin to have all these other effects. Wow. And so mentally, even though you're able to, still run and catch because your muscle memory kicks in, and that's why quarterbacks, when they have concussions, they generally take longer to get back. Or you have people like Troy Aikman and Steve Young that have had enough concussions to say we can't do this anymore because they're required to think so much at the line of scrimmage. They have to process plays, and so that's a whole different mental acumen than what it takes to to run, catch, and to just hit guys on the field. So because of that, my role as a life coach as well as mental coach is to say, hey guys, let's make sure your mind stays sharp, because the more your mind is lucid, the more that you'll be able to function even if you do get hit. You know what I'm saying? So if you get knocked out because of a concussion, you don't want all your brain cells to disappear and all your brain functionality to go away. And so my job is to make sure that their brains are functioning in a way that allows the synapses to click at a certain level consistently, right, and your melatonin has to be at a certain level as well, because if you think more positively, the energy of your brain is helped. Guys who work out, talk about making sure that they get their workouts in, eat protein and nuts and things like that. Right. All of that helps for the brain to be strengthened. And so
you're like a physical therapist for the brain.
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Dr. Joseph Bryant Jr. How do day-to-day life? How do I help the players, or how do I use this to help me?
Let me start by helping you, because I think what you're doing right now is a part of the key. You're doing something that's a mental exercise. You have to think about what questions you want to ask. You have to think about what players you want to talk to. You have to think about how you're processing not only the game, but you're processing all of the mechanics to make you a good media personality, right? Right. And so the more you do that, the stronger your brain will be. Okay. And that's why, guys who are readers, guys who think beyond just, playing a game, the guys who use their minds as much as they can are much better off after concussion, because it's just like using any other muscle. The brain is a muscle that needs to be exercised, and so any person that can do anything that allows you to think beyond the obvious, you're in a better situation. And so you are multitasking. You are mastering the board. You are doing interviews. That's good exercise for your mind. And so guys who want to, quote, veg out and do nothing, it's the worst thing in the world. So you want to encourage, and what I do a lot of times with players is I get them to think about things outside of football. We talk about, life beyond the playing field. We talk about, what do you want to do in life? I live in Silicon Valley, and so, we work with players out in California all the time who, want to go into technology. That's a great mind exercise.
That's a lifetime goal.
Man, so not only are you stretching your brain, but you're also reducing your stress level because you actually have a plan after you finish playing. You enjoy life beyond, just being a football player.
You don't have to fear the end of the field.
So when the jersey's ripped off of you, your mind doesn't go nuts. Because when you're not prepared, if you've ever had concussion or any CTE effects, everything gets worse. And so really what I like to, do is come along as a different kind of coach. I'm a mental health coach, I'm a life coach, I'm a career coach. And all of those things, plus my physiological training, plus the work that I do in health areas with a lot of, players, it allows me to keep guys, preventive in how they use their brains and then how they prepare themselves to think real good about themselves when they leave the field.
Doc, where can I learn more?
Hey, man, go to josephbryantjr.com. That's my website. You can learn more about what I do. And, the good thing about it is not only do I do coaching, but I actually directly affect how guys go into their new careers, whether it be as they're retiring, preparing to retire, but I work on foundations, business development plans, everything that they need to learn strategically. Just like you learn a playbook, I teach guys how to develop a plan for impacting the community, develop a plan for developing a business, develop an entrepreneurial plan, anything that they need coaching-wise. I become their mental coach. I become their development coach. And over these 20 years I've been doing it, I've got a little niche in a lot of other areas where I can make sure they succeed as winners on the field and off the field.
Love it, Doc. Thanks for making time.
Hey, man, it's been a pleasure, man. You guys are awesome, man. I love it.
Thanks, man.
I love New York, man.
To talk to. I love this. Dr. Joseph Bryant, again, drjosephbryant.com?
josephbryantjr.com. I dropped the doctor, man. I'm Joe for friends like you.
Awesome,
Bless you, brother.
Man. Awesome.
All right. Thank you.